I want to talk about something fun. I want to talk about fascism. What is fascism? I was thinking with the No Kings rallies and all the talk about Antifa and how evil Antifa is, that it would be good to have a reminder of what exactly fascism is. Um, because I think a lot of people may not know exactly what it is. And there's a lot of big language used when we talk about fascism. So I think it's good to just break it down.
What is fascism? Welcome to Politica Simplified, where we explain politics in 60 seconds. Fascism is an authoritarian political ideology that emphasizes nationalism, control, and strict obedience to authority. It rejects democracy, replacing it with a system where a single leader or party holds absolute power. Fascists often glorify the nation, or a specific race, placing it above individual rights, personal freedoms, and diversity. Strong central authority that controls every aspect of society. Suppression of dissent and opposition. Promotion of unity through propaganda, militarism, and rigid social order. Fascism gained momentum in the 20th century, prominently under Mussolini's Italy and Hitler's Nazi Germany. Though it promises strength and stability, critics highlight its legacy of oppression, conflict, and loss of personal freedoms. And that's fascism, simplified in 1 minute.
Well, now we know. Um, I like the simple explanation of what fascism is and the little AI characters. Any of that resonate with anyone? Anything stand out?
We're all against anti-fascism. We don't agree with having kings and being dictated to and telling what direction to go into. I'm tired of people telling me what to do.
I know going to a concentration camp, Germany, which I did. Well, I knew about fascism and Nazism before that and studied it. I can't understand why we have a certain population that seems to not understand what it is. It's the most awful thing that could happen to any country, to people. In the concentration camps, not only the Jews, they took gay people, they took people who had mental disabilities, they took anybody who said something against them. What does that sound like? That's what's scary. And, they fought their way out of it in Europe. And I just don't understand what we're doing. I'm sure we all feel that way, but it is awful. I recommend a movie or a PBS special. It's a series, The World on Fire. I don't know if any of you have ever seen that, but that will give you a real good idea of the atrocities and how terrible people were treated during that time.
Yeah, I've also been to a former concentration camp in Germany. I went to Sachsenhausen, and when you see how the Nazis treated Jews and all the millions of other people that were killed during the Holocaust, the fact that anyone would think that that is a good ideology worth repeating is mind-boggling and actually horrifying. I want to talk about what authoritarianism is, because that's one of those big words that I think is thrown around a lot, and I don't know that everyone knows what it means, and I don't mean within this group. But it's basically the idea that there's one strong central power. It's like this cabal of people saying, we are your parents, and we are going to decide what is best for you and everyone in this country. And if you don't like it, we don't want to hear about it, because if you say something against us, we will punish you. And I don't want that. And that is counter to what Andrea just told us about the Declaration of Independence. So next I want to show some clips from a video about how far into fascism we are in this country, what stage of fascism we're in, because we are here.
Exactly.
Tea Party movement. Their extreme rhetoric made anti-establishment anger mainstream.
But this anger was just raw fuel, waiting for the right person to weaponize it. And in 2011, one person found the perfect lie to build his entire political brand, and they just ate it up.
Why doesn't he show his birth certificate?
Birth certificate.
Birth certificate. His birth certificate. Birth certificate.
The whole birth certificate.
It's a real possibility.
President's birth certificate is a fraud.
It's one of the great scams of all time.
Absolutely.
This is what stage 1 of fascism is all about. Disillusionment. According to Paxton, this is where it starts. A figure exploits people's frustration with the status quo, turning disappointment into rage. They don't just criticize leaders, they delegitimize the entire system. And once that foundation is set, it snowballs into something much worse. And with cable TV and the internet, it only made things worse. People weren't debating the facts anymore. They were living in completely different realities. One side could see Trump as a dangerous demagogue, while the other saw him as a savior. And from stage 1, the foundations were set for the biggest shock of 2016, and what followed would only accelerate from there.
It is my high honor and distinct privilege to introduce to you the President-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
From fringe candidate to president of the most powerful country in the world. Here we see another historical parallel with what happened with Hitler and Mussolini, who were both once outsiders before becoming heads of state. But
when I was watching this video and seeing all that stuff from 2011 and 2016, I mean, I was alive during that time. I remember this stuff, but just it's been a while since I've seen it. And it was just so chilling just to see the progression from birtherism to people becoming huge fans of this man in an almost cult-like way to him actually winning the freaking election, which was a terrible night. Oh.
Yeah, I could not. I remember that night, and I had to walk out of my home and go for a walk because I just could not believe what I was seeing. How could people be so hoodwinked into this just like they were, almost a year ago? How does that happen?
I was at a conference in Atlanta that night, and I remember I had a friend wake me up early in the morning, and my heart just broke right at that moment. And I remember going into the restaurant at the hotel, and it was devastating. Nobody looked at each other. And if you know, Atlanta itself probably did not vote for Trump, but here they were. And my friend and I, that I know for a long time, we just went off to a garden area just to get away before we went to our conference. And it was awful. It was awful to not even be at home, right? And you're with a red state, actually, but you're not with a red state because you had a lot of devastated people living in Atlanta who could barely look at anybody or talk.
Well, I remember in 2016, I was one of those that said, he won't win. He won't win. He can't win. People know who this man is. There is no way this is going to happen. And then it happened, right? We were devastated. And I even asked a couple of friends of mine who I found out who voted for him. I said, women. I said, I don't understand. I couldn't. Hillary was such a liar. You've got to be kidding me. You are kidding me.
Oh my God.
And then, and then they found out, but they made excuses for him. Right. And then I really thought this time there's no way again. And here we are, because I really thought people cared about our country and cared about democracy and cared about our Declaration of Independence. And even though it's not perfect, because we know it's not perfect, it needs to be fixed. We have a lot of issues that need to get resolved. We can't do it under fascism.
Well, it's a nightmare.
The video starts with talking about the rise of the Tea Party and the disillusionment that people in that group felt in their anger, and how Trump was able to tap into that and ride that wave of anger into the White House.
Yeah, it did start with the Tea Party. Roseanne, you probably know there's areas up in Auburn where my family lives. It drives me crazy. They have pockets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here in Roseville too, Maureen. I mean, there are these little pockets of people, and it's ugly.
It is.
The next phase of fascism
comes after stage 2, the complete capture of the Conservative Party. The very same people Trump fought against during his primary campaign were lining up, desperate to make a deal with him. The arrangement was to let Trump lead the Republican Party, but behind the scenes, they would be the ones actually running policy, thinking they could control him. If we look at what happened in Germany in 1933, German conservatives made the exact same deal, and I'm not making this up. They thought they could use Hitler to get what they wanted: conservative judges, traditional values, economic policies, while keeping him under control. They literally said the same thing: we can control him. In the beginning, it appeared to work. Trump delivered exactly what they wanted: 3 Supreme Court justices. This gave conservatives a commanding 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court that would last for decades. But what ended up happening with Hitler? Within months, he had consolidated all power, turned the party into nothing more than an extension of his will, and turned the people who were using him to either becoming his most subservient followers or were eliminated entirely. And what ended up happening in America? Trump systematically restructured the entire Republican Party, beginning with purging every Republican who had opposed him.
Gonzalez became the first of the 10 House Republicans who voted for impeachment after the January 6th insurrection to retire.
Senators who had publicly criticized Trump had suddenly became his biggest cheerleader. And this was not just political calculation anymore. It became total submission. This is where the mask comes off. What was once unthinkable becomes inevitable, and they begin breaking everything, including the conservatives who helped them get there.
Known as Schedule F. It's a plan that would radically transform the federal bureaucracy and allow Trump to install loyalists all across the federal government.
And just as they cannot tolerate internal opposition, eliminating the Department of Education becomes the next logical step. Look at how Trump attacks universities. This is not about academic policy. It's about delegitimizing any institution that produces citizens capable of challenging him. But the true scale of Trump's influence became clear after he lost the presidency, where he literally tried to stop the Democratic election by inciting the January 6th riot. On top of that, he organized attempts to create fraudulent electoral votes in multiple states to rig the voting system. And as a defense, he claims presidential immunity. And this in and of itself is already very concerning in all levels. But again, the similarity to what happened with Germany raises even bigger alarm. As you can tell, this is where America currently stands. But here's the thing about Paxton's framework. Stage 5 is not just another step. It's the point of no return. Being in stage 4 should scare you.
He's making up his own rules, and he's getting together with people that are aligned with him, such as the Supreme Court, and whatever he dictates, they're gonna, they remember they gave him absolute immunity.
Yeah, and the fact that the Republicans who were his opponents became pawns in his chess game willingly because they thought they could control him, and we see where that's gotten us. They're not in control. They're
in control.
And that's the issue. Fascist leaders, dictators can't do it on their own. They need supporters, because without supporters, they don't have any power.
And that's why I maintain that if Trump is gone and J.D. Vance becomes president, he's not going to have the same he's not going to have the same sway, the same amount of power. He's not going to have the Republicans lined up behind him because he doesn't have the cult behind him.
Right. I agree, 100%.
I've always said the reason they listen to him, and that's where the Epstein files are so important. I didn't realize the importance of the Epstein files in his first term, like I do today, that he makes it his business to know everything about everybody. And he's holding, I believe he's holding something over their heads where they cannot speak out.
Yep.
And he can't.
Andrea, I've thought that since 2015, 2014, when he came on. It's like he's got dossiers built
Mhm.
on everybody, you know? And then to see that that photo of Marco Rubio when he's all smiles, and then you see him today, holy gosh.
Mhm.
He doesn't even look like the same person. Somebody said, yeah, he's lost his soul. And man, it sure.
Yeah, I think there's some that he's holding stuff over their head, and I think there are some who enjoy this. I think there are some who enjoy the power, who want the money, they want everything that goes with that.
Yeah, and they think they'll be safe as long as they play along. But all it takes is one bad word against Trump and you're gone. You're out of here. He will turn against you in a heartbeat. And like in New York, we had the debate last night for our mayoral election with Andrew Cuomo and Zoran Mamdani. And Andrew Cuomo, he has gone from being Trump's biggest opponent during the pandemic to not wanting to say anything that could be seen as going against Trump. And it's like, what has happened to you? Like, this man has that much power that you have become feckless. Like, I'm not going to vote for him for multiple reasons, but it's absurd.
I agree.
When I saw that grown man just start crying, the one that's, was pleading with him to please,
So the man who ICE attacked?
Yeah, they keep attacking. I just don't, or that they can just come to your door and knock it in. And you're a U.S. citizen. You bring children out with zip ties. You bring people out with no clothes on. You make an elderly sit out in the cold on concrete.
Because much like Germany, they want to give people a common enemy to blame, and that way you can treat them how you want to, because that's seen as protecting the people. These people are danger to us.
Yeah. And Jazzy, 100%. 100%. They know they've crossed the line. They know they can't get elected without cheating.
Yeah.
It's this is where we are,
Yeah.
So there's one last part of this video to show.
Stage 5 is when there's no more pretending. And the warning signs, they're already here. Trump has promised in his own words,
"We will begin the largest deportation operation in American history, larger even than that of President Dwight D. Eisenhower."
His team has outlined plans for detention camps, mass holding facilities built to process millions of people, and even the deployment of military for enforcement. The signs are glaring, where not only does Trump shifts his focus inwards, but also the use of mass detention camps are obvious warnings from the past. Historically, if we were to link with what happened in the past, the targets wouldn't stop with undocumented immigrants. Legal immigrants and even birthright citizens can be floated as future targets. And if mass deportations weren't alarming enough, Trump plans to ramp up his power, usually reserved for wartime dictatorships. Trump and his allies have already talked about deploying the military against protesters through the Insurrection Act, and they even plan on suspending normal legal processes, even elections under martial law, under the guise of restoring order. And perhaps most alarming,
People from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military.
So my question for you is this: are these just coincidences in history, or are they real warning signs that America is drifting toward fascism?
We are already there.
That's what it looks like.
Lawless. Yeah. This administration is lawless.
The fact that there are people who will deny that this man is operating from a position of fascism is ridiculous. Like, you cannot deny the parallels between how he's behaving, how his administration behaves, and how Hitler and his crew behaved, and Mussolini and his crew. Let's not forget Mussolini. He gets left out a lot when we talk about fascism, but he's the originator of it. We're in a very precarious place.
Yeah. I think what people don't realize too is Orbán. People don't look at Hungary and look at Orbán and what happened. They went from a democracy to an illiberal democracy. And he has met with Trump on several occasions. And I had always said in the beginning that he was following Orbán's playbook.
He is.
Because it's exactly in the book, How Democracies Die. It lays it all out.
Did you know I was on an airplane with Orbán from Hungary to Munich? Oh, I know. It was terrible. He was up in first class and he was a bully. He had these thugs looking at all of us as we were waiting to get on the airplane. Flight attendant, as we landed, he stood up before he was supposed to. And she kept on saying, "You've got to sit down. You've got to." He said, no. Got off. Yeah, it still exists. It still exists over there.
Wow.
He started out as liberal.
Yes, he did. You're right, Kim. Yeah.
And what happened?
Just, I think, if I remember, it's like they learned that they can gain more power if they go more on the conservative side of the political spectrum. And that's exactly what Trump said.
Yeah.
In the 80s, right? Interesting. But we're seeing this worldwide right now. We're seeing this.
So I'm glad that we have these No Kings rallies and demonstrations tomorrow, because we need to come out in huge numbers and show that we are against this. I don't care what Mike Johnson says. I don't care what anti-campaign they're running against tomorrow, calling it the Hate America protest. Give me a friggin' break.
Yeah, I do too, Jesse. Yeah. But that's just part of the rhetoric, the propaganda. It's part of fascism.
But yeah, we have to speak out and fight back while we can, because at some point we will hit a point of no return and it'll be too late. And I don't mean to sound I don't mean to alarm people, but it is alarming. We are in a place that we have not been in this country, and I don't want to see us go down the road to no return.
We only have 12 to 18 months, not from here, from January, and we're already in October. So we don't have much longer to where it's going to be a fight to get it back.
He's got to go.